Did this baby-faced teenager help murder his own stepbrother? Joshua Young on trial. Prosecutors say he and his father brutally beat 14-year-old Trey Zwicker to death.
Today, we are here to hold Josh Young accountable for his role in the murder of Trey.
We've also got with us, we got a little sidebar. They're going to try to figure out which questions can and cannot be asked of the jury. He's going to go through those questions. Let's bring in Mike Gottlieb, if we can, great criminal defense attorney. Because this is, Mike, this is, you know, first of all, I love jury questions. I know lawyers hate it because you guys lose complete control of what's happening in the courtroom, right, Mike?
Well, I think before they ask any questions from the jury, they're going to go through them. They're going to determine whether or not the questions are relevant and pointed. And I think some of the jurors' questions earlier were right on the money. They wanted to know, does he love his son? Does, you know, is he going to lie to protect his son? And quite frankly, he said he doesn't even know his son. So I think his credibility is way up in the air. It's going to be really difficult to assess. I'm sure the prosecution has something more than him as their evidence of guilt for the young Josh Young.
So what's the bottom line with this guy? What does a jury do with this guy? I mean, he's a bad guy. He's an admittedly bad guy. He's admitted to the murder. So in this case, I mean, the defense, this is best case scenario for the defense. You've got someone who admits to the killing, who gets on the witness stand, tells the jury that he did it, and, you know, is wearing orange. He's got the handcuffs on. I mean, usually the defense is pointing somewhere else where, you know, maybe someone did or didn't have some involvement. This guy is admitting it all. Is this almost a game over for the prosecution if, in fact, this jury just looks at this guy and says, listen, he's responsible?
I think that's a big problem for the prosecution. Quite frankly, I don't even understand why they called him. They started by saying in their opening statement that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But if you look at him and his demeanor and the way he looks, he's got that 1,000-yard stare. He looks like a killer. The son doesn't look anything like that. The son looks like a young, gentle, innocent person. If the jury's assessing their mannerisms, how the son, you know, he holds his head down in court when he sees some of the gruesome evidence. The father doesn't seem to care about anybody but himself, and he gets up there and he says, I did it, and I did it on my own. And I said my son did it because I figured, you know, he would get away with it. I mean, he throws his own son under the bus at the beginning. I don't think this guy's got any credibility as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't listen to him other than to say he says he did it, so I believe that he did it. Other than that, I don't think there's much that he has to offer.
Mike, the witness on the stand now called out of order. This is a witness called by the defense because she got there today, 15-hour bus ride. My goodness. This woman, out of the goodness of her heart, gives a ride to a woman and Joshua Young. Then Gawker, Joshua's father, jumps into the car, ends up pulling a pistol on her, and now she's testifying. My guess, part of what the defense is trying to do here is to demonstrate what a bad guy Josh Gawker is.
Well, I mean, definitely they're showing that, you know, here he is. He laid in wait behind the car. He surprised her. He got into the car with a gun, kidnapped her. I'm wondering whether or not there's going to be any admissions from her, whether or not she's going to drop a bomb, that he admitted that he did something. That's kind of what I'm hoping and waiting for. Otherwise, it could just be character assassination, as you suggest.
She's getting very emotional on that witness stand. Does that help the defendant, Joshua Young, in this case?
Well, as you know, from my perspective, as long as that association, the kidnapping, what's making her emotional, that emotionally charged testimony, as long as that emotionally charged testimony isn't attributed to him and it's just attributed to his father, I think it's wonderful. It helps. It makes the father seem all that much more egregious, that much more of an animal, and I think it helps as long as it's not attributed to the son. And so far, I haven't heard that he was complicit at all in the kidnapping, so I think it'll help.